What is up? It is a late Friday edition, literally straight off of game 5 of the NBA Finals. What an exciting finish. I'm joined by Jason. We're going to have just our fresh reaction. What's on your mind, Jason?
Man, that was a tight game. Definitely, like I would be so nervous to even dribble a ball in that type of situation. So kudos to like all the players. I like how they took out Caruso on the last play because they're like, I don't think you're ready for this, son. Like they subbed him in for Danny Green, who missed the shot, but I think it was the right play by LeBron. Like even though he didn't take the last shot to try to win the game, he gave it up exactly, I think, as planned. And sometimes the ball doesn't go in, but at least more basketball, and that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think like obviously this is what I love about like these high leverage finishes is that like it's like it's like natural human behavior and psychology, I'd imagine, to tighten up, get nervous, and whatnot. So it always shows me a little bit of like who's calm, who's kind of just poised for the moment. I not to overreact too much, but like I like the fact that Tyler Hero can knock down those free throws at the very end, and that Jimmy Butler goes perfect from the line. I felt like LeBron consistently made the right basketball plays, and obviously he made his free throws. Yeah, I'm just oftentimes you see in those situations things really tighten up, but this was a rare situation where it was like Miami Heat make, Lakers make it, back and forth. The teams just kept making their shots until the very final possession that the Lakers had.
Yeah, I think um, this is a an example of what the difference is between bubbles finals versus in stadium finals. I think those clutch free throws aren't as hard if you don't have like 100 like thousands of people kind of like yelling at you. If you're in a away stadium, you literally just got like 10 guys on a bench trying to distract you and stuff.
Yeah.
Although I do see LeBron trying to do some tactics with the Jimmy Butler where he kind of stepped in a little early, kind of did a little foot in, try to do something real quick before he shoots it. But I'm glad the game wasn't decided based off a missed free throw, not a major mistake. I think the only thing you could really blame is Markieff Morris, that it was a bad play where he got the offensive rebound or he had the ball with like I think 6 seconds left. Not sure if he actually looked at the clock just to see. I think he maybe thought there was a little bit less time, and so he immediately tried to go hit
Yeah.
Davis down low to try to get a layup in.
Yeah. So he was trying to pass it, right? I'd assume he was trying to lob it to AD, or he was trying to dump it down to AD.
I think he noticed there was like maybe a mismatch down low where AD had a guy who's smaller than him. It might have been Robinson, it might have been Hero, but I think he just mistimed or he misjudged that Davis would be on the right side instead of the left side. Um, but I that people are saying like that's like as bad as the JR
Oh
LeBron
no, no.
debacle. But I think heat of the moment, can't really blame him from trying to go quick. You might as well try to get the advantage early. It's just unfortunate that happened. But Lakers had a bunch of chances too, so wouldn't be too upset about that.
Yeah, the problem is like you get the Heat, you give the Heat a little bit of life and confidence because the thing is, this is the first time in the series where the Heat won while AD and LeBron played really well. To be quite frank, like this
Oh
was
yeah,
like a
this was a bad waste of a LeBron hot shooting night because he
yeah.
was hitting threes, man. Like when he's feeling it, and he just does a little jab step, and like most of the time you're like I'll settle for it, but he was draining them. I think he was like 6 of 8 at some point, so really squandered like a really hot performance from LeBron. I don't think this would be he'll replicate that in future games. So kind of down there. But there was the AD injury where down the stretch, I think he re-aggravated slightly, so he was basically a null on the offensive end, just trying to stay active on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, like you alluded to, LeBron obviously had an incredible shooting night, but it was a good night from AD too. Like obviously he had to step out for a couple minutes because the ankle injury, but like generally speaking, when LeBron and AD play like that, they don't lose. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it was definitely like, granted, I think the Lakers, like, they're obviously the favorites and whatnot, and they still only have to beat the Heat one more time. So I wouldn't be like sweating too much if I were the Lakers, but like, dang, like that was, you got 68 points and 25 rebounds from LeBron and AD combined. They both shot incredibly well. AD goes 9 for 15. LeBron goes 15 for 21. I mean, it's, this is obviously no surprise when you think about it, but it's like it really just came down to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I think everyone had a pretty decent game.
KCP
Um,
was decent.
KCP was really decent. We're showing a lot of hustle. I know you said that was a flop, but I mean, he did hit him in the mouth. You know, you don't even got to wear your head back, but you got to let the rough know that you got slapped in the mouth. Like in slow motion. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, that's no big deal, but like I don't know, when's the last time someone smacked you in the mouth? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you would
that's
probably
true.
have that response. So
Also, this is why the Heat should feel decent, not even decent. They should feel amped up. Is that, yes, you had this incredible performance from Jimmy, and yes, you had that flamethrower night from Duncan Robinson, but like their other All Star, Bam Adebayo, he wasn't All Star level tonight, right? Like he was a little. He was kind of so. Like, granted, he's coming back from an injury, so I understand, and he's also got to match up with AD. But like, it wasn't like Bam had some like crazy night, and the Heat eked this out. You know what I mean? So if you're the Heat, you have, this is the thing about being down 3-1, and when, right, it's kind of what Jokic alluded to when they came back from 3-1 against the Clippers. It's like all the pressure is on the Lakers, right? So if you're the Heat, you can play free. You got some momentum. You can just kind of play with you. You got nothing to lose, right? So it'll be very interesting to see what happens game 6.
yeah, and I think one thing to note is the health status of Dragic. I'm not sure if he's completely out for the rest of the series, but like even having him play just a couple minutes, I think would be a big morale boost because I think he was next to Jimmy Butler in terms of leadership. He was definitely the guy that just everyone looked to kind of know what's up. Like I think the best player obviously is Jimmy Butler. I think second best player is Bam, but in terms of like leadership, just having a veteran like know-how of what to do, I think Dragic was number two. So I'm wondering to see kind of his health status, but he definitely have momentum, and if they play with that type of like desperation and energy, I think the full team. You just need a little bit from everyone and not rely on your big stars to step up. So I would say I'm gonna put it out there. My prediction I think is gonna be Lakers in 7.
Lakers in 7. Okay. Okay. My original prediction before the series was Lakers in 6. So obviously that can still happen, but I would be very satisfied if it went to a game 7 just because more basketball. And I'm gonna be honest. I felt like last year we were robbed of a game 7 in the finals because like the Warriors, they looked
Just
like
were
they were,
hobbled. They were just
well,
they
they were up on the Raptors, and then Clay goes down with the ACL. Kind of a freak
yep.
play, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you have that, you have a two-time defending champs going on the road in a game 7. Like anything can happen. I don't know if the Warriors would have won that game 7, but I'm just saying I felt like last year we should have gotten to game 7. So if we get a game 7 this year, I'm not mad.
Yeah, yeah. More more to add to LeBron's legacy or kind of another chapter to kind of put him down. So I think it's truly like as we're getting into the finals here, the comparisons of him. I think there's more emphasis and more conversations about him and MJ. But it's really crazy because it's there's so much scrutiny on him, like all his life, basically since he's been 18. He's been
16
having to
even.
kind of
He was a
yeah,
sophomore in high school. He was
I know, but
national spotlight. Yeah.
and to be honest, like whatever happens if he wins the series, if he doesn't win the series, he's in my eyes because I think it's more of a generational thing. Is the GOAT. Like he's been able to respond to all this criticism, outstanding leader. Everyone has good things to say about him as a teammate and stuff like that. You know, in my eyes, he's the GOAT. Obviously, people, you know, who have seen MJ can probably attest and argue their way, but in my books, he's already cemented that.
I mean, okay. So one thing, I mean, I don't really get too deep in the weeds with the GOAT discussion. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. Anybody who thinks LeBron, like you think LeBron is the GOAT, I think you have very good reasons. I can respect that. At the end of the day, I respect an argument based in reason. So I don't really have too much to say about that, but it is interesting. One thing you do mention is like obviously he is like has been under the craziest microscope when it comes to scrutiny and attention. And I just feel like LeBron, he can't win unless he quote unquote wins, right? Because in that last play, he makes the right basketball play, right? They're crowding the paint. There's two guys directly on him, and there's another help defender, right? So the right basketball play is to pass to Danny Green, but because Danny Green misses the shot and they have to go to a game 6, it's he should have taken the shot. MJ would have taken the shot. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just feel like whatever LeBron does, if they don't win the series, he just can't win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that might have been pretty frustrating in his earlier days, but I think he's learned to live with this type of expectation. You know, I just love listening to his interviews and his post game conversations. He's just robotic. He's just like, look, like this is like, I understand. I'm not going to complain about the expectations set by myself. I'm not going to, you know, be upset about, you know, what I think is fair and not fair. Like, this is how it is. We came here to get like a job done. And I appreciate that type of attitude, because it's just like, you know, I'm going to control things I can control. I can't control, you know, what the media says, what people think of me. I'm out here to just play ball.
Yeah. I have nothing but good things to say about LeBron when it comes to how he handles himself. But this is a total pivot from what we were just talking about. But do you think that the Heat can get another game like that out of Robinson or Hero? And I guess if you want to include Crowder in that conversation, in other words, a game where one guy literally just, you know, heats up from beyond the arc, and obviously that creates a lot more room to drive for, you know, your Jimmy.
I think it's necessary. Like, it's not only they can, but it's the only way for them to actually win. Because think about it, you know, they were up throughout the game because of some crazy shots that Duncan run. Unbelievable how well he can just get the shot. It's like,
for real.
It's like, I don't even know. Like, every shot that he takes and there's like a defender in front of him, I'm like, how does he even think that's a good shot and then goes in? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he definitely thought he had enough space. I've never seen a person with that quick of a trigger.
Yeah.
But what my point is saying is, you know, like, I think it's all about having the right number of lottery tickets. You know, the Lakers are playing this tough game where they need to have their superstars step up and ball out every single game to win games. Whereas the Lakers, you need a little bit from earlier was like Kelly Olynyk, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jay Crowder.
A little bit of Myers Leonard, not this game, but in the previous games.
Even today, you know, Kendrick Nunn was
I was going to say
shots.
Can you get another game out of Nunn like that?
Yeah, but I mean, there was a little bit of his inexperience, because I think he was feeling, he made a 3 and then immediately next play he just launched it because he thought he was in heat check. It was like, all right, dude, calm down. A heat check is when you've hit 2 in a row, and then you can take a 3.
Yeah,
no one's gonna complain. You can't just hit 1 3 and expect, all right, I'm hot. Like, yeah, let's pump the brakes there. But again, like, they got a bunch of lottery tickets in terms of, like, you know, contributions from everyone, and you need that to win. But I think they had the depth to at least take another game or maybe 2.
Yeah, and speaking of lottery tickets and wild cards, like you mentioned this earlier, but they got another one potentially, like you said, with Goran Dragic, and I'm sure they're gonna make that like a game time decision and keep the Lakers guessing. So that'll certainly be interesting to monitor. It obviously the magnitude is not the same, but it reminds me a little bit of last year in the finals when it was like, will KD play? Will he not? And then once it was announced he was going to play, it felt like the Raptors. You could tell the Raptors were like obviously they were kind of they were adjusting to the fact that KD was just there. He obviously wasn't moving the way he normally does, but they just were reacting to his presence. And I wonder if, let's say, Goran Dragic can give him a good like 14 minutes. Like I wonder if even that 14 minutes can be enough to give the Heat enough life. All right. Any last thoughts before I let you go?
No, I think that's everything. Just I didn't catch the first quarter, but so I started watching from the second quarter on. But it's just one of those things where like even if they were down, 3 down 6, it always seemed like the Lakers just were in it anytime LeBron, he was just zoned in. So kind of curious to see if there could be a little bit of strategy there where they're a bit hobbled. Maybe they, if the game gets out of hand on game 6, they'll take it to game 7. Obviously, they're probably going to bring their A game, but I have a good feeling that it's going to go to game 7.
Guess we'll see on Sunday. I'm definitely really excited to watch that and see how the series plays out. Hopefully, it's another fantastic game like tonight was. So yeah, just wanted to have you on for a quick reaction. So thanks for joining me, Jason.
All right, appreciate it, man.
What is up? It is a late Sunday night edition of the Splash Eye Podcast, fresh off of the Lakers now winning the 2020 NBA Championship. I'm just going to give a quick reaction to that. There's honestly not too much to react to, and I'm going to pair this podcast up, this little snippet up with the conversation I had with Jason after Game 6, so it'll be, or after Game 5, sorry, so I guess it'll be 2 post-game reactions, so to speak. So, yeah, so fresh off of the Lakers getting it done, the game honestly wasn't really too interesting. I felt bad for Goran Dragic. Just, obviously he obviously really wanted to play and wanted to make an impact, and he probably was still hurting, and he, made the decision to play. And yet, obviously the game wasn't really interesting. But other than that, there's honestly not too much to react to with regards to the actual game. It wasn't super interesting. The Lakers defense was just locked in from the get-go. And on top of that, the offense wasn't, I wouldn't say they were like quote unquote putting on a clinic, but they were just so good on the defensive end that they were creating fairly easy opportunities for themselves on the offensive end. And, once the game is a 30-point game, not just for one moment, but for essentially a whole quarter, that's pretty demoralizing. But I respected how the Heat continued. It looked like they still seemed engaged and trying, but there were so many times, whether it was my guy Hero or Bam, Jimmy, it just felt like they couldn't get a bucket. Like there was a time, whether it was like, I'm talking like shots right in the paint near the rim. So, but all that said, you have to give kudos to the Lakers. LeBron, AD, Rondo came out to play tonight. Like, wow. And AD was... Nobody wanted to drive when AD was near the rim. And quite frankly, I think that was part of Miami's problem. It felt like there were a lot of times where whether it was Robinson or Hero, sometimes it just felt like, or none, sometimes it felt like they were driving. And once they kind of got near the rim, they it seemed like they had made the decision like, okay, I'm passing this one out. And then sometimes those led to careless turnovers, which then fed into the Lakers' hands, because they would, have a transition opportunity, and the fast break is where they absolutely kill you. So congratulations to the Lakers. As for the Lakers, so this is title number 17. I've heard Bill Simmons and other Celtics fans say it doesn't count. I personally don't buy that shit at all. Quite frankly, this is number 17, so they're tied with the Celtics. So it'll be curious to see who can hit 18 first. And given this has obviously been the longest NBA season yet, and so much has happened, not just in the NBA, but in the world, but especially there's obviously been a lot of unfortunate, events that have happened in the NBA. And so it's hard not to watch that NBA Finals, the ceremony, the celebration to presenting of the Larry O'Brien Trophy and the Bill Russell Finals MVP award. It's hard to not watch that and think about Kobe, as someone who, and I don't want to make this about me, but as I'm sure many people can relate, as someone who, grew up rooting for the Lakers because of Kobe, the one thing that is bittersweet and heartbreaking is that you wish that Kobe were around to see the Lakers win an NBA championship after he retired. And it's obviously been a crazy year, right? The China, you have this crazy offseason to start with, right? And then you have the China incident with Daryl Morey and the Lakers and the Nets playing in China at the time. And then you have the passing of David Stern. You have the passing of Kobe Bryant. You have the season restart, and then obviously the pandemic, and a lot has come with the pandemic that I don't want to spend too much time talking about. But it's this has been the longest NBA season. Obviously, who knows when next season starts? And I hope that we never have an NBA season this long, because I remember last offseason, I was just so looking forward to the actual basketball being played, given how intriguing the league really felt. Like, just given all the moving pieces, I was so excited to see how these guys would play together, and, this new addition on this team, and this new coach coming in, and so forth. And unfortunately, there were times where the storyline was beyond that, and obviously that's to no one's fault, right? And it's been a long season, but I'm definitely glad. Shout out to the NBA, because I was pretty skeptical, honestly, that the bubble would be successfully executed without a single positive test case. And for them to play, I think it was 172 games without a single positive test case, and it's been basically 3 months. The Adam Silver, the Players Union, they deserve a lot of credit, as well as the workers at Disney who helped help this thing go smoothly. So I'm glad that I'm glad that I was wrong. I'm glad that I was wrong and that they were able to successfully pull it off. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. This is more of a comedic note, but it's so weird that the first and foremost, the last bucket that the Lakers had on this championship run was a Dwight Howard 3-pointer. And not just that, it's just weird, as someone who very closely watched that 2012 to 13 Lakers team. It's very weird to see Dwight Howard win an NBA championship for the Lakers. And on top of that, he did it in Orlando, and like I just alluded to, he was the last bucket that they scored, and it was a 3-pointer of all shots. So definitely very weird. And I don't know. It's just, I guess that's if there's anything I've learned from this year, it's sometimes crazy shit happens. So, but yeah, next up, I guess we have a month until the NBA draft. College basketball is coming up, but I'm definitely glad they were able to safely execute and finish up the NBA season. We'll see what happens with regards to next season. That's obviously going to depend on what happens with the broader world and society. And on top of that, it'll be very interesting to see what they do with regards to the financials, because obviously the league took a hit financially speaking with the pandemic. But yeah, don't really have too many other thoughts. Congratulations to the Lakers, Sweet 17. Hopefully they can get one more before the Celtics. Yeah. So that's all I really had to say. Thank you for listening to the Splash Tag podcast, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe on whatever medium you're listening to, whether it's Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, or Spotify. Once again, thanks for listening, and I will catch you guys soon.